I think we're live.
And okay, and it's showing on YouTube. Hello, everyone. So happy to have you here today. You are in for such a treat because me and my boo Meagan, we are going to be talking about all things YouTube and Pinterest, specifically how in the world to get more views on YouTube with Pinterest. Like
Yeah,
that's in my head. I'm like, what do you mean by that? And I'm
I
like,
know.
what
Because
happened?
it's like counterintuitive. You're like, oh, Megan's going to come on and she's going to tell us how to use Pinterest and how it's all about these other things. And no, it's actually about like if you're already working on your YouTube channel, you are implementing everything that Jamar genius, everything that he suggests. This is how to layer in and continue to build that growth with Pinterest running in the background for you.
Oh my gosh, this is so great. So before we get started,
Mhm.
Megan, do you want to introduce yourself to the girls? Like, cause I know, cause you're such a wealth of
Yeah.
knowledge, and I know we're only going to hit on Pinterest, but I want
Yeah.
them to really know who the hell you are, girl.
Yeah. So, well, I'm mostly known for all things Pinterest. I've been working in the Pinterest marketing space for over 10 years. So, I'm your granny, I'm your grandma, your nana when it comes to marketing online. And part of doing that is that I have had the absolute privilege. I'm much like you, Jamar. I worked in the industry, like the agency style model. So, because of that, I did a lot of client focused work. I've worked with some amazing brands and solopreneurs, but eventually I decided that I wanted to move into the education space. And that's, how you and I met. So I educate small business owners and brands about how to use Pinterest to feed their business growth and their content marketing ecosystem. So that's what I do. But because of that, I also know a lot about content marketing and about, all things marketing really, but I specialize in Pinterest.
Oh yes, I just, your brain is just so freaking like juicy. It just
Well, I'm going to like say a little plug that probably people would pay for our audio messages back and forth that we send each other in the DMs. You could not put like, when you bring two people who have so much experience, I think that's actually where this idea came from, is that like YouTube and Pinterest are so complementary. And anyone in my world knows that I talk about that. Like I'm just obsessed with anything that drives natural discovery and search and community. And that's actually, I know that's what you talk a lot about, is like that YouTube can hit those different places of the funnel, build community, nurture your audience. And yeah, I think we're just built different than other marketers, like as like discovery based platforms. We just think about marketing so differently. And sometimes it's not sexy. Like we were joking about that yesterday, right? Like maybe
yeah.
we aren't TikTok girlies, we're not Instagram reel folks, but it's like there's something really magic about growing your business for something you create today in 6 months, 6 years. Like, that's the power of things like Pinterest and YouTube.
Yeah, and like that's the thing where with Pinterest and YouTube, it takes work, but you see it pay off when it starts paying.
Yeah.
Like when you're kind of sowing the seeds, like now
Mm,
for the future, and you see it working, you're like, oh my gosh, why? And you start thinking, why aren't more people doing this? And it's
yeah.
because it takes time. We live in a world where it's we want that immediate gratification, right? We want like that,
Mhm.
like, oh, as soon as I make a post or as soon as I make a video, I should be getting clients or leads or
Mhm.
whatever now, right? I will like that's
Yeah.
what they want. And with YouTube and Pinterest, it doesn't really work that way.
No, they're a slow burn. They're like building their accumulated effect. But once it starts to come, it's like if just in the same way, and I'm not like a crock pot person, but if you've ever like prepped a dinner the night before, set it in the crock pot or anything that cooks food slowly, you go out for the whole day and you come home and dinner is ready for you. Like that is a sweet, sweet, like amazing feeling. And I think that in like that's what Pinterest and YouTube offer, is continual evergreen growth and discovery that other platforms really struggle with, right? That we just know the shelf life is not as long, and they're good for different reasons, right? Like, we're not here to say those other platforms aren't amazing and that you should disregard. Although, some ways we are going to say, like, YouTube and Pinterest are built different. Like, we want you all here, like, but it's also just being realistic that, Instagram, Snapchat, Threads, we have all these other platforms that do different things. But as search engines and the way that these platforms are built, it's different, and it results in a more sustainable level of growth for most businesses who take them seriously.
Yeah. And like how, just like how Meagan says, everything basically, it works as an ecosystem. So all these social media sites, like all these platforms have a different use. They have like there's some type of utility to them that you are like using for your own marketing ecosystem.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't leave here thinking that we're saying jump ship and only like just only do Pinterest and only do YouTube, because honestly, you're going to need a lot more. You're going to need a lot.
Just even look at our own businesses, right? Like email marketing. Actually, we, like, I think you and I met on Threads. I feel like I knew your name before, but that's where I really fell in love and started creeping on your posts. As some other people here who are in the chat, like, I think that we use different channels for different things, and that's what we can understand. And actually, that's where it's interesting. So I shocked somebody. I did as a bonus for my program, I did these one-to-one calls. And so a business owner had her call yesterday. We get on it, and I could tell she was a little bit nervous. Like, I was going to tell her, like, she thought I was going to tell her everything should be on your website. We should only be driving traffic to your website. Listen, I was shocked. This person reveals to me they got monetized in May on YouTube, has over 1 million views, has a beautiful work system for their very specific, very niche YouTube channel. They sell digital products. They do these like one-to-one sessions. And right away I was like, hold up, let's back it up a notch. And she's like, well, don't you want to talk about my website? I said, no, I want to talk about YouTube. And it's such a beautiful buildup, because I actually said to her, listen, you already have a consistent workflow there. You've built a beautiful community that is engaged, loves you. They get to understand you. They get to know your products, and why would we drive traffic to your website? Let's drive them to your YouTube channel. And she was just like, wait, what? I didn't think you were going to say that. And I'm like, yeah, let's make this easier. And that's why actually this is so fun, because it's not always, and that's where Pinterest has really gone recently, is they're not necessarily like, yes, we would love you to have your own website, but I think that I would just say that in general as a good marketer, like everybody should have their own website and their email list, right? But we use things like YouTube, like Pinterest, like Instagram, like Threads to grow our audience and create discovery. But if you are heavily invested in your YouTube marketing and that you have built out a gorgeous strategy there, it is working for you. Listen, let's bring people to where you are hanging out and what is working for you. Why would we create more friction by sending them to your website? Yeah.
That's so good. Okay. I have a question for you.
Yeah. Tell me your questions.
So, because you're hitting on this thing, because I didn't even realize, it took me a while to realize that, so you don't always have to make the blog post, like the YouTube video, into the blog post in order to in order for Pinterest to work, right? Because I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but it's like that was also like one of the blocks that I thought, right? I thought that first I'm already spending the time making the videos. Now I have to actually add in making the blog sooner into my workflow. To do it, right? But you're saying not necessarily.
No, I think like part of like how we're evolving, like I think as brands, as business owners, we have to also recognize that each of us is different, right? Like how many times have I asked you to bully me to get active on YouTube? Like I was on YouTube when I was like pregnant with my second. That's like you could see, like I'm like busting with a human inside of me. And I love YouTube, but I have some resistance around like, oh, I don't have time to sit down and do my 20-minute video. And, I could talk for everyone, but the second I have to film, I'm like, I got nervous. Anyways, the point is that I think that when we all have our points of friction, that we have mindset things that get in the way, right? What I'm going to say is I think that the way that Pinterest has really moved, the way that social media, we can all acknowledge that we have different preferences. So some people gravitate towards Pinterest and it really works for them and they love that. Other people, it's Instagram. They're like, I love Instagram. I can show up there. I'm consistent. I meet my people. I talk to them. Me, I'm like, I just want to look at your cats and dogs. I want to show you what I'm up to. I don't really like talking business on my Instagram channel. It's always been a problem for me. So I can just say I suck at it. I know what I'm supposed to do. It doesn't mean I want to do it. So we all have this. And I think that also what I recognize in a very human perspective is me saying, Jamar, I would love for you to create a blog post that's SEO optimized, that embeds your YouTube video, it's perfectly created and optimized. But I know that as soon as I say that, it's like, oh my goodness, like that is a whole nother thing I have to add to my to-do list. And so I think this evolution of our marketing is we don't have to do it perfectly. If it's getting in the way of us growing and people discovering us, then hey, let's remove that friction point. Let's drive traffic right to your YouTube channel. Would I love for you to create a blog post? Yes, but I know that you might not. So let's just go straight to your sharing, getting your YouTube videos, your channel, driving traffic right to that location in your marketing because you are showing up there consistently. And, is it perfect? Well, not always. But for a lot of people, like we all gravitate towards a certain channel for a reason. There's a reason why you are the YouTube person, right? Like you love it, you live and breathe it. It's just like, it's easy for you. When people ask me like, why Pinterest? I'm like, I don't know. It just clicked. Like that's how I used to describe it. It's easy to me. And then it's like, okay, well, it's easy for me. It's intuitive, right? We're built like the same way I used to describe to business owners. Like there's a reason why a hairdresser becomes a hairdresser. Like often it's because they have a natural gift. So you have a natural gift for understanding YouTube and helping business owners create a vision there that is conversion oriented. Mm-hmm. And then like the way that I show up on Pinterest and teach Pinterest to people, it's the same. Like we sometimes we have natural skill for things. And the difficulty becomes like how you teach it to others, obviously, right? Yeah. So I'm so interested in hearing about how to use Pinterest for YouTube. Yeah. And a lot of people, I think, if you are invested in YouTube, the same types of principles apply on Pinterest and vice versa. And that's probably why, like Jamar, you and I get each other so at such a deep level, right?
Yes. And so one of the things, so let's dive into this because iArchitect is here. Oh, look, now I get to add on the little the comments. Look, oh my God, so
loving it.
So here's the thing. When we're talking about how to use Pinterest and YouTube together, I think we should probably, I don't want to hop right into it too soon, which I know everyone's like, shut up, Jamar. But but I think it's important for us to really understand the ecosystem of Pinterest so we can learn, so we can understand like how the heck we're supposed to be using it, right? Because obviously it's going to be something with like a pin from a YouTube video to Pinterest, but like there's so many facets to Pinterest, it seems like. So like let's
break it down.
Let's break that down, please. The ecosystem of Pinterest.
So Pinterest started as the original platform where you pinned inspiration. Like that's literally where the name came from, is that it was a place for you to virtually store things that inspired you or ideas or just things that you liked from the internet. So you can imagine it emerged at a time where we used to save like pictures to our laptops. And if you were organized, you put them into a folder called like, dorm decoration or like, I had one, I forget, I'm trying to remember some of my early boards, but it was like, fashion inspo. Like it was this place where we could curate things that we saw, like the way we used to rip out a magazine page or we saw like a hotel that we wanted to go to. And it was a way for you to collect your ideas. And I think that it has evolved as this visual platform. So it's based on images and video. Obviously, video is something newer in the last like 5, 6, 7 years, but it's really just like all the other platforms that it's become very video heavy. Pinterest wants to push video because video is across all the platforms. So anyone who's sort of like critical, that's like, no, like I don't want to see video there. I'm sorry, but pinners do. Like regular people do. Sometimes things happen. Social media evolves, like whereas YouTube's always been video, right? But long format video. Pinterest does not want to be a competitor with YouTube.
Mhm.
Pinterest, and I think a lot of their messaging has really shifted, is it wants you to have a place to sort of like dream and collect and save for an action that you want to take. And as a business owner, or depending, what your niche or industry is, it's a way for you to become a tastemaker or curate resources and information and products and services that aid your ideal audience. So we always say it's a solutions focused platform, or like you're inspiring people, you're aspirational, and you're collecting those ideas. And that's what makes it a little bit different, right? Is that you could be aspiring or thinking about creating a business move. Maybe it's like you want to evolve your fashion sense. Maybe it's that you want to decorate the back of your office. Maybe you're becoming a cat dad and you want to learn about how to take care of cats, right? Hands up. Who's a cat dad? That's my subtle cue. Like, where's Jessie? Where is she? Like, give us the goods, right? So I think that when we think about Pinterest, we need to think about it that it's this visual search engine and people are curating and saving things they want to return to. And that's what's different. It's this idea like I'm going to come back to this and watch it or read it later. And that's where it's so powerful. But it is much like we've used the word discovery. It's often, and this is what's different from YouTube. YouTube is amazing at nurturing and creating community. And I would say, like, maybe Pinterest doesn't want me to say this. Pinterest is top of funnel. You are not in the DMs. You are not necessarily creating a community. I think they would love for that to happen there, but Pinterest is this sort of anonymous place for dreamers, right? Yeah. But as business owners, we can insert ourselves to be helpful. And that's where there's this beautiful thing that Pinterest wants you to put a link with every single thing you add to the platform. And that is not like other platforms. It's mostly always been like that, right? And so they want you to share things and drive people from your account to another source. In this case, we're talking about your YouTube channel.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So on the top of, just off the top of your head, right? How can someone say that someone has a whole catalog of YouTube videos, right? They have, and they're all on different subjects. So where can they start? Like, what is the first, like, how would it look like? Like, how does it even look like?
What I always recommend, like in my own, like, structure of how I teach, like, well, how do we create a strategy? Like, what does that look like when we go to Pinterest? Is I always get people to do like a content audit. Now, remember that Pinterest is top of funnel. And I feel like most of us are highly intelligent. We overcomplicate everything to no end. We always kind of go very, very niche, very specific. But what I would say is the best content, and I just sent an email newsletter about this, or email campaign about this, is like the best content that goes viral on Pinterest is really basic. Like, it's very beginner level, top of funnel, really useful to people. You want to remember that they need a reason to save it. So when you think about video or you think about images, you need people to see that and think, oh, I want to save this for later. And it's because then when they save it to their account. And a few weeks later, a few months later, they come back and they act upon it. So they buy things, they book the trip, they inquire about the VA services. They're sort of saving today for their future selves. It's a very future-oriented platform. Like I said, it's like this, people are kind of curating the solutions, just the same way that you're like, I want to take a trip to Dallas, but I don't know what to do in Dallas. So most people aren't researching the day before. It might be like when you're booking that trip, you're going to look at like, what are some really cute boutique hotels? What are some interesting dining experiences? Maybe if you're an art person, you'd be looking at like more history related things. And then there's people who go there for like art and fashion. So you might try to see if there's like some music going on, that type, it depends on your interest. But when we think about that strategy for Pinterest, I would say look at your YouTube videos that are more like either have like already gone viral or done very well for your business on YouTube. So start with your rock stars, and then your videos that are very simple and sort of more beginner level content for your particular niche or industry. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go over to Pinterest and you're going to do what we call some keyword research. You are going to learn. So remember, YouTube has a different user intent than Google. So Google, YouTube, and Pinterest, I think, are these like 3 search engines that are beautiful. But remember that people who are on Google search differently than how they search on YouTube, and search a little bit differently than how they search on Pinterest. There's overlap, like without a doubt. But you're going to go to Pinterest and you're going to do your keyword research, and you're going to think about how you are going to adjust your text or your copy to your Pinterest audience. So then what you can do is create graphics, like we call them Pinterest graphics. You can create images and video. So what we know about video, so I saw somebody asking about, like, what does that look like for video on Pinterest? We know that pinners, they want enough to understand and get value, but they don't want a 10-minute video. I did look it up just yesterday. You can pin a video that is up to 15 minutes. Jamar, nobody is watching a 15-minute video on Pinterest. We're going to come to YouTube, because we're conditioned that YouTube is where we watch long format video. So what you're going to do is you're going to take video that is short form. So this is what Pinterest is really smart about. They are saying, we want you to repurpose with purpose. We want you to reinvigorate what you're already creating for YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Heck, if you're a LinkedIn person, we won't. You're not in the club, but you're in the club. Wait, what's that like meme right now? Right? In the club. Like it's sort of like we're all in the club, but
in the club, we are
in the club. We're all fam. Yeah, but LinkedIn, you're not in the we're not fam. We'll let you in. No, I'm not trying to be mean, but you guys know. If you know, you know. LinkedIn is if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. Jamar is like exceptional, and I'm constantly looking at what he's doing on LinkedIn. When I do remember to log in, it's a blind spot for me. But what they're trying to say is we love short form video. Short form video does very well on Pinterest. I think it allows people, just because it tends to be more original and dynamic. So, and it can be really high value. So they want you to look at creating video that is anywhere from, they would say 9 to 15 seconds. Now I'm kind of like, that's really short. So I would aim more for like 15 seconds upwards to 1 minute. So I used to call this, like, before we had all these names for like reels and shorts and whatever else, I used to call it like sizzler based content. Like, you need to give, kind of like when movies come out, there's trailers that give us enough about what that movie is going to be about that we're like turning to our friends and saying like, oh, I want to learn more. I want to watch that movie. Your video content on Pinterest should be similar. So remember, you need to give them a reason to want to click over to your YouTube channel and watch that full 10-minute video, that full 20-minute video. So give them enough that they want to leave Pinterest, or that they think to themselves, I'm going to save this because in 2 weeks, I want to implement my YouTube strategy. And I found this video on Pinterest by Jamar, and it sounded really good. He knew what he was talking about, but I'm not ready yet. So in a few weeks, I'm going to go back to that video. So that's what we're looking at doing. We're looking at taking that content and creating vehicles for promotion on Pinterest that are optimized for the platform, so that when people are looking up, how to start a cake business, how to raise a kitten, how to potty train a cat. I've heard about people doing that. I don't know how you do that, but you get what I mean. Anything where there's a solution.
Mm-hmm. So, okay. So this is so good, Meagan. Like, I'm just like, I think we're going to have you back, honey.
Yeah.
Well, until you start having your own YouTube channel.
Well, listen. I need to be bullied. I'm not someone who encourages bullying, but I've
no idea how to bully you, because I have no idea how to bully you.
Listen, I'm Irish. You just have to make me feel guilty. So the Catholic guilt is a very real thing. You just have to make me feel guilty, and then it will happen.
That is so funny. Well, then you have to guilt me into Pinterest.
We all have a lot on our plates. It's one of those things, right? I think before I'd be like, I can't believe it, you're not on it. You got to use it. But I just recognize, right? Like, and it's also like, we got a lot going on in the world.
Yeah.
We got a lot going on in our world, and we stick to what's really easy, what we're good at, and that's our natural. I always call it like there's no shame in picking the path of least resistance,
Yeah.
right? Um, yeah, YouTube is coming. The thing is that I've talked about getting back on the you, and then I made the excuse that I needed to order a new camera.
Oh,
I
girl,
know, I know. Listen,
I'm so tired of your
okay,
shit.
tell me your other questions. Tell me your other questions.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so one of the things, so just to make sure that we hit this on, because I think someone also said something
Hmm.
about, so is YouTube Shorts where you will combine with Pinterest? What I'm thinking, what I'm hearing you say is that it's
Hmm.
about like 10 to 15 seconds. Right, it's not a full-on like short or reel. It's like a trailer of
Yeah.
what's to come.
Yeah, well, you can go longer, but what I wouldn't go for is like 10-minute videos. Like if you have a really wonderful YouTube video that has like 4 chapters, you're going to give 7 tips. Like here's a good example. So this morning on my Q&A for my program, a person had a blog post that was like 7 simple ways to transition your summer skincare for autumn. Okay, let's pretend. Let's use that very example. Let's just keep things easy. So if we were going to do that, what I would do is on Pinterest, I would create images that say that and then lead to the video, like seven tips for transitioning your skincare from summer, and like have visuals that match. For a video, what I would look at doing is giving away some of it, or it's at a very high level. So the YouTube video goes into like, in the autumn, we need to layer in an extra layer of moisture. We need to layer in an extra I'm not a skincare girly, but like another sort of thing that's related to flaky skin or dry. Maybe it's like exfoliation. Okay. So the Pinterest part of it would be naming the 7 ways. And one of them is like begin exfoliating your skin once every 7 days. But on YouTube, your video would have like a 1-minute explainer about why exfoliator, how you should be using it, and what product you recommend. So you can see that like you give them enough to know what they're going to get on Pinterest. So you hook
Mhm.
them with the information, but to get the goods, to actually see the full deal and get the full tutorial, they're going to go to your YouTube channel, or if people
Mhm.
want to have it on their website, on their website. I think that we kind of think about like Pinterest is the preview, but you
Mhm.
have to give them enough information that they can see that it's going to be valuable. Don't just like, like sometimes I see like a thing where it's like, I'm going to tell you 7 tips. And then you watch the video and you're like, I didn't learn a damn thing here. Like what? And then that just makes people not trust you. So they don't want to go. So something like a YouTube short is a really great thing that you can repurpose. I know that Jamar has his thoughts about YouTube shorts. Remember, like Pinterest does want to drive traffic away from Pinterest to the source. So in this case, we want to drive traffic to the long format content, whether it exists on YouTube or on your website or both. But what I would think about is that you want to give the video has to be valuable enough that they know what they're going to get. Like give them a reason to take action. So this is one thing that I will say it out loud. A lot of people think they know about Pinterest and they have a lot of impressions, but their audience is not converting. Their audience is not actually leaving Pinterest. They're not actually buying anything from you. They're not hanging out on your YouTube channel that you've monetized. Like that's also another thing. Like this business owner who I talked to yesterday, this girl, she's double dipping. She is making money from monetization. She's making money from people buying her products. And then she's making money booking services. I was like, you are
Great.
genius. This
Yes.
is so good. And I wouldn't have thought that. Like when I got her little thing about who she was, I was like, oh, we're just going to talk about her services that she offers. And she comes and she's, nope, I've monetized my audience. And I'm not talking like she's making over $10,000 a month from her YouTube views. As a
Mm.
business owner, I was like, that is beautiful, right?
Yes.
Like beautiful, like multi revenue streams. So when we think about that, when we talked about one of her biggest struggles, just to like pull from a real life example. So a lot of her videos are created for YouTube. She doesn't do very many shorts. So what I recommended to her is a lot of her content is just like this video, right? Horizontal. What we think about is like the traditional YouTube video, but on Pinterest we want 9 to 16. And that's why it's easy for us to say things like YouTube shorts, your TikTok videos, your Instagram reels are amazing for Pinterest. Just make sure they make sense because sometimes you might create a video that's like a joke or a meme Those don't really fly on Pinterest. We
Yeah.
want education, we wanna be inspired, we wanna learn something, we want a solution.
Mm.
Mhm,
So you mentioned earlier,
mhm.
just so that because this may help people figure out which video is the video for them
Mm,
to go over. Promptly asked a question on like, can you give an example, or if you don't mind giving more examples, because I feel like you
mhm.
already gave one on how people search differently
Yeah.
on Pinterest versus searching on YouTube, and then that may help them kind of know which videos to kind of pick out of their
Yeah, sure. So what I would say, there's a few general rules of thumb. On Pinterest, people are searching using root words. So for example, earlier, I don't know if Michelle is here. She was talking about trying to come. So Michelle specializes in natural hair. Okay,
Mhm.
growing natural hair as a black woman. And so we were talking about like people on Pinterest would probably search natural hair, or what we actually did the search. I'm trying to think. There's like coily natural hair tips, natural hair inspiration. So you can see that it's not
Mm.
necessarily question oriented. It's a
Yeah.
root word, and then it's adding in adjectives to get more specific. So what we find is like, let's go to something like food. So for example, we're looking for dinner ideas. But then think about that niche. So there's dinner ideas. There might be quick, healthy, there
Mhm.
might be family friendly, there might be for one. Like you'll see what people search, like, or you might look for a certain ingredient, like fall or cozy. So that's what I noticed. I was searching for soup recipes last week, and it was
Mhm.
a lot of like fall, cozy, like very like what do you call like oh, there's a word I'm thinking of, but like, like kind of like very filling home style food, right? Like what
Mhm.
your grandparents would cook on a Sunday with like beautiful bread. So you need to think about that people on Pinterest, when they're searching, they have their root word, and then they're adding in specific words to bring down things that are more relevant. So Pinterest is a search engine. All search engines want to understand how to serve up the most relevant content to the right person at the right
Mhm.
time. So it is using visual and keyword clues to decide what to show people. And when they serve up a particular pin, it's because it's been a proven winner or ranks high for that phrase. Now, when people go to Google, they typically either have a brand bias. So people will already be product aware and have more focused search phrases. We also find that on Google, people will say things like geo related, like where to get a haircut near me, where to
Mm.
find a Pizza Hut near me. So they already are kind of like more like from the customer awareness level, closer to the buy, they're closer to the sale.
Yeah.
So people often enter like questions. How do I know if I need to take my dog to the vet? Um, you know, I remember like when my kids were little, I'd be like, red bumpy skin rash on 2-month old, right? Like
Yeah.
we enter these like long tail kind of question oriented. Now,
Mhm.
maybe you could speak to YouTube, but I do feel like YouTube is more detailed, like these long tail keywords.
Mm.
Would you agree with that?
So you're right about it's being very, very, it's very similar. It's very similar, but I feel like with YouTube, it is more they're searching for a specific thing. Like they're searching for, if like this is gonna sound so like get more views with YouTube, or like how to get YouTube.
Mhm.
Like, it's very like they have a like a solution in mind, I guess,
Yeah.
of what the answer may be, and so they're trying to search to find, I guess, supportive advice
Yeah.
for that answer.
But like, what's the word for that? So it's like they're more honed in on the actual result they're looking for.
Yeah.
But on Pinterest, it's actually different. Like people, we know from Pinterest data, is they're very receptive to, like, they don't have brand or product preferences. So we call them like it's an
Mm.
unbiased search. And that's why people, especially if you're just starting out or new, you might be like, well, TikTok is already like, do I have a chance on TikTok? Do I have a chance on like that boat has sailed on whatever platform, right? We know that like sometimes if you're an early adopter, there's advantages. But the funny thing about Pinterest is like you can rank in search with like a mega billion-dollar company because you use better keywords. They are just looking to serve up the most relevant content, and searches are unbranded. They just want to serve up really good content in people's search feeds. And so a lot of that is, adjective based. It's like adding in those relevant cues, and it has predictive search, right? Well, it'll show you and tell you these are most often, like when we were looking up natural hair, it was like natural hair inspiration, short, long, different like 4C, 3C. Like it will try to predict what is on volume based, how they can help you make those decisions and refine your search results. Right. And so that becomes really powerful when you are looking to attract a particular audience on Pinterest. What I really want to layer in here is it's about getting more out of your content. So if the center of your marketing plan is YouTube, why wouldn't you be sharing that content and making it part of your workflow that you would drive traffic to that place you convert? Like in my program, I literally teach you need to understand how you convert your audience, no matter what type of a business owner you are. If you're a creator, if you're an influencer, if you are a service-based business, if you sell digital or physical products, you need to know where you convert your audience. Pinterest will bring people to that place that you convert. And that's why like our partnership of teaching like Pinterest with YouTube to help bring people to your YouTube channel is like, to me, it's just like, so like, there's such a strong relationship there. It's like, hey, you have been like this woman yesterday. I'm like, 1 million views, 20,000 views on every single video that she is uploading. And she, they love her stuff. She has a wait list for her readings. She has people buying her digital monthly magazine. She has a membership people are loving. I was like, but she said like she never hard sells. It's just like people find her, they love her style, the way that she does what she does. And I was like, oh, we're just going to bring people to your YouTube because it is converting and it's working really, really well for you.
So when we're thinking about sending people to YouTube, right? And so I guess thinking about like the pin itself and optimizing the pin for like, do you have any tips for that? Do you have any best practices for optimizing that pin that is linking to that video?
Yes. So one, I want you, please, for the love of God, if you're going to share your YouTube videos or your YouTube channel, don't just share your thumbnail from YouTube, because what ends up happening is we get all these images that look like this, and Pinterest wants this. So the perfect size for your Pinterest graphics or Pinterest pins is an aspect ratio of 2:3. I know it's painful because it's not 1:1 and it's not the same as your YouTube thumbnails, but just go ahead in Canva. It's so easy. There's literally no excuse. Bulk create. Right.
And I think Canva has like a magic resize thing too.
Yeah. Yeah. So simple. Honestly, there's really no excuse anymore. And I think that before people be like, well, I'm not design savvy. And, Canva has solved that for so many people. Listen, people can drag Canva all they want, but they made graphic design accessible to the masses. And, we need to celebrate that.
Yeah.
What I would say is when you think about your Pinterest pins, here's my general rule of thumb. Pinterest is a search engine that uses technology that scans the cover of your videos. So if you're uploading video to Pinterest, or you're uploading a graphic or like, what we call a Pinterest pin or an image, it scans it. So it's trying to understand, what am I looking at? What is this thing? And so you have to be very careful with the covers that you pick from your video, that you're showing us what we're going to learn. So especially for people like you and I, Jamar, that are information based, we need text on the graphic to tell the Pinterest crawler how to index our content. So I'll give this example. I worked with a business coach, and she worked a lot about mindset and calming and like how to be like, sort of just like things related to coaching. So it's information based. And she used a picture of a basket of kittens with some text overlay. The text overlay wasn't very clear, and Pinterest thought her pin was about kitten care because it saw kittens in a basket, right? Like we use stock images. We sometimes, like I once actually, like just to like bear my own mistakes, is there was a point in time where I made a graphic and my text I thought was clear enough. Pinterest misunderstood what it was about. And it was like I used a paid stock photo that I had purchased in the background of a beautiful office. It thought that my pin was about decorating your home office. So
Mm.
it shows that you need to use visuals that tell the Pinterest robots how to crawl your content. So how that plays in is that you can use text to clarify. So like, how to use YouTube or how to pick keywords on your YouTube channel to rank and search. Or you could also have like maybe the YouTube logo. Like you need to give visual cues. And for some industries, this is easier than others. If it's a Pinterest graphic, just be very careful if you use stock images. I don't know if you guys can hear, but both of my dogs are here. And so my dog just literally moved my laptop. Never quiet here. So you want to pick visuals that literally represent what your content is about. And if you are an information-based industry, then you need to use nice, beautiful keywords in your text overlay. And that's why the Pinterest graphic became a thing, because of its image scanning technology.
That's so cool. So you mentioned something, and I feel like this is probably like a great expert question that I'm probably going to ask you. So buckle up. But no, but so when you said because you said something to where you're like, Pinterest thought that that person's image was about kittens, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was the indicator that you saw that like
Oh,
made you?
well, you can look up how Pinterest understands your content. So we call it, like on the platform, we call it like indexing, right? So
Mhm.
it's like, how does Pinterest index or label your pins? And so what happens is if you upload content to Pinterest and you confuse the robots that crawl your pins, it basically doesn't know how to assign a category to your video or to your pin. And so your pin just never gets seen by anybody because it doesn't know. So you have to make it really easy for it to understand, oh, this is about pet care, specifically kitten care. And so it will categorize it as pet care, which is an overarching industry. Or like say if you do recipes, that falls underneath food and drink. So words will indicate to the Pinterest crawler how it should understand what category to assign you to. And then it will show you in relevant searches. But you cannot confuse the technology. So another example is I had a person who was a gardener. They had a gardening shop, e-commerce with a lot of blog content. And they created a pin that was like kind of oddly zoomed in. So you couldn't see really, it looked like a gardening plant, but it was of a green pepper plant. But she had zoomed in on it, so we couldn't see the pepper. And it said, how to grow peppers. And Pinterest thought it indexed it as a spice. So can you imagine you're looking up for information related to spices and you get shown a picture of how to grow a green pepper? Like you're not going to click on it because it's not relevant. So
Right.
she's like, I don't understand what happened here. And I said, like, your visual cues, like your image was confusing, and then your keyword use was too broad that it picked up on the word pepper and it thought it was peppercorn. So it indexed it as spice. Or like, and this happens all the time with people who don't like, of course, there's always people who like, come onto the platform. They're like, oh, I'm just going to like put whatever I want. But this is why we don't use like cute or vague language. We use very clear, concise language so that the people, but then also the Pinterest crawler really understands what that content is about.
This is so good. Okay, hold on. Before we move forward, I forgot to do something at the very beginning. Y'all,
Oh,
I have a giveaway going on.
oh
For
no.
those of
Wow.
y'all that are watching right now, I'm giving away either a free YouTube audit or 197 off of the Low Lift Club, which is my YouTube membership. So
Damn.
y'all let me know which one you are interested in. Put audit or do membership or Low Lift Club in the comments, and I will figure that out near the end of our live, because we're coming up to the end soon. So I had to say that right now.
Well, the people who stuck around, they're going to benefit. Now you're being rewarded, right?
I got so excited seeing you, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Well, you know, that happens. I do that too. I always forget about the giveaways because it's always like you get stuck into the content, right?
I know, because this is something that I'm like, yeah, I'm so interested in Pinterest, and you saying, and you mentioning this, because I saw this on a Threads post that you made like a while ago, and it was like, just use your YouTube videos. And I'm like, say what now?
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I think like the one thing to know about it is like this is my like little like, you know, as a good marketer, I have to say, like when we drive traffic from our Pinterest account, like you can drive traffic to your TikTok channel, you could drive traffic to your Instagram. If you could want to drive traffic to your YouTube, you could. Anything with a link can be shared to Pinterest. What I will say is the one downfall is like once they go to that platform, we can't really track what they do. So you might have somebody like, say if I was running your Pinterest account, I'm driving traffic to your YouTube videos, and then that person subscribes, and then a week later they join the Low Lift Club. From your back end, you will never see that they discovered you on Pinterest. And that's like a lot of what we do is last touch, right? Like last touch attribution.
yeah.
And Pinterest often gets sort of squashed, that gets lost because you have to look at the full funnel. And so few of us actually do full funnel tracking, or the way that these platforms are kind of set up is like they don't really want you to know that they came from something else. And so that's where Pinterest has done a lot of work on trying to help people actually track their analytics. Because imagine if someone found you on Pinterest like 3 months ago, right? Say I find your video, I save it. I think, you know, in December when it's quieter in my business, I am doing it. I'm revamping my YouTube channel. I'm reviving it. But I save your pin in October. I act upon it 8 weeks later ish, right?
Yeah.
And then I go to your YouTube channel, I watch a few of your videos, and I'm like, oh my God, I love him. Yep. What you're going to see on your back end is I converted from your YouTube channel. So you're going to be like, but which isn't a bad thing. Like, I think we all know, like a lot of our efforts are kind of like all leading into the ecosystem. But some people who are driving traffic to their Instagram or to their TikTok or other places, you just have to be okay that you're going to lose them. That's why we often say like that's where that information about like, if we can drive traffic to your website, I want to do it only because then we can really track those people, especially if we're using UTM parameters.
Yeah. And so here's what I think, and this may be really helpful for y'all, is you are not, the data is not all gone. So now I'm gonna like clock in for my YouTube.
Yeah,
side.
please tell us.
Because as you're talking, I'm like, okay, cool. So Pinterest tells you which pins have been saved the most and stuff like that, right? And obviously the pins that we're talking about today would be going to YouTube videos. On your YouTube channel, you're able to see the traffic sources of where your views come from. And the external traffic source would be Pinterest from there. And so, I mean, it will take a little bit of work, but if you want to dig, right, you could just kind of see what's happening. Because and then also in the Low Lift Club, we also make our members do UTM parameters for their links inside of their YouTube videos, and I highly encourage them to also add in the UTM parameters to show particular videos that have converted to like lead magnet opt-ins. And so if you really wanted to see how much a video has contributed to your entire kind of like discoverability funnel, right? If it's coming from Pinterest, how much of that traffic came from Pinterest, by which videos came from Pinterest, and then how did that translate to the people on your email list right now? That could be some really cool data to look at, right?
Wow.
So it's not, and that's not me saying that like everyone's going to be doing that work, but it's so important so you can know like what's happening, and for you to really see how much work is going into like your marketing, right? And for you to kind of understand like what's happening for you to
See,
understand.
I didn't even know that though, because I just like I didn't realize that you could see within the YouTube, and that's my bad. That just shows my like, I didn't realize that. Whereas like that's another advantage for YouTube, right? Because Instagram and TikTok, they want you to think everything's coming from them. And the reality is those platforms are created to keep people in, right? So like, and a lot of the platforms are like that, but if you can track it, even better. I really should have come with a pen and paper. I just wanted to answer. So, somebody was asking, so do you mean that Pinterest people are pain and problem aware, but not necessarily fixed on a particular outcome or provider or brand? And that's right. So because they're so like more top of funnel, is they're just openly searching for inspiration and solutions. And that's what's so beautiful is that if you bring them to your YouTube channel where you have videos, and I know Jamar teaches this because I've seen him teach this, is that you create videos that hit people at different places in their customer awareness, and that you could do that in a single video even, right? That in a single video, you could bring people from, different places, starting in terms of the customer awareness to being solution aware and product aware. And that's one of the beautiful benefits of long format content, like a YouTube video, right? Is you can bring people through that customer awareness in a single video or through your channel by them binging your channel, which we know people do, right?
Yep. Yes. Oh, this is so good. This is so good. Okay, y'all. I'm going to look and see if there's any other questions that I want to hit, but I want to be respectful of Meagan's time because she gave us a whole master class, honey.
Honestly, I feel like I could go on and on. Like there's so many different unique ways that you could also like, have all these things work into each other. But the reality is it is dependent on you having your shit together on YouTube. Am I allowed to say that? That maybe this will get your video in trouble. But
that's okay.
But you have to have a strategy for YouTube. So if you're going to drive traffic to your YouTube, you got to know what you're doing. And if you want to know what you're doing, then you have to be in the low lift club, and you have an opportunity right here.
Yeah.
Right. Tell them again how to enter. Tell them again how to enter.
All you have to do. So it looks like the people are saying an audit instead, or do y'all want the 197 off of the Low Lift Club? Comment something so that I can know, and then I'll start picking a winner. But let me tell you, you really hit something today, because it's like you need to be doing something for your marketing in order for Pinterest to work, right? Yeah. I think you probably had those. You've probably had those people who want to start doing Pinterest, but then they end up like not having content. They end up like not having anything. And so this does not mean that you can just stop doing YouTube videos. You have to keep it going, right? This is going to be fueling your success even more. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let me hold on. So I have a very non-official way of choosing the winner. Meagan. Actually, no, Meagan. I want you to choose.
No, don't pin that on me. No, I am not. No, ask Jesse. I'm relegated to Jesse.
Damn. Okay. Look. Okay. So here's what I'll do. Okay, I'm gonna move my mouse up and down, and then I'm gonna close my eyes. This is literally how it works. I need StreamYard to like make a giveaway picker. They only do it for pre-recorded videos. Okay, I have Abrina Johnson. Are you here?
Oh, she was just a minute ago, so she better be now.
Well, Abrina, use that low lift, but like you can get the audit if you want. So you can do whichever one you want to do.
I love it. Look at that. You come to things live, you will be rewarded, right? That's a simple. This is such a good lesson. Show up and listen, and look what could happen to you. People are rewarded for doing the work. I can't believe you just won that.
Oh my gosh, Abrina, you just won $197 off of the Low Lift Club, honey, or a free audit. Now, all you have to do is send me an email at support@jdiggsmedia. This is so ghetto. This is so funny.
You're just typing in the chat. There you go.
I'm just typing it in the chat. support@jadixmedia.com. And definitely, and I'll give you like the next steps. We'll talk about all that stuff. Okay. Meagan has this is the end, y'all. Y'all ask all these questions. Meagan is done. But if you want to stay connected with her, maybe she'll make some content around your question and all that good stuff.
No, there were a few questions, product-based businesses.
If you want to answer it, you can. I ain't got nothing on my calendar, but I feel like I don't want to take up too much of your time, boo.
Well, anyone who knows you, Jamar, knows me. They know that we could just talk for hours.
I know.
Somebody has to tell us to leave.
I know.
Do you guys remember back in the day when like we had old phones and you'd have like your best friend and you'd be like, no, you hang up. No, you hang up. I think the modern day is where kids stay on FaceTime together until one falls asleep. I can't relate to that. Like, I don't need to be on video, but like the old, like, okay, you hang up first. No, my mom's telling me that I have to, you hang up. Anyways, listen, I will answer these last questions and then I do have to go. Okay, so as a product-based business, how can I use both YouTube and Pinterest? Maybe you want to start that and I'll finish it. Product-based.
Yeah. This one right here?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so with product-based businesses, it's really important to show how your like people have questions around how to use your product, when to use your product. So I like the most low-hanging fruit, because we did this with an e-commerce brand. She like does heatless hair extensions. We literally did videos on how to use the product, when to use the product, when not to use the product, right? Answering all those frequently asked questions that they have before they even buy a product, showing the product, right? And so that's really one of the best ways to use YouTube to actually get sales from a product-based business as well. I wonder if that works similarly on Pinterest.
It does. So it does. Anything where you offer a solution and then you are going to walk us through that solution. I think that when we think about product-based businesses, why so many of them actually bomb at Pinterest is because they're like, here's the product. It holds water. You should buy it. I'm sorry, but that is not going to do it for us, right? That's not going to do it for us. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of product-based businesses, because they're so obsessed with their product, they just think about the features. So you have to really think about, and actually Layla was on my call earlier, and I talked about working for a paint company. And the paint company that I worked with, it came up, I combed through 12 hours. I spent researching their brand. The most asked question on every video, in their email box, on every single blog post they wrote was, how do I hold the brush? How do I not get brush strokes? So we created a blog post and a video for YouTube and for their website that was like how to hold the brush, how not to get brush strokes. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter what brand is featured, but that single blog post, that piece of content drove incredible amounts of discovery. And we basically like swept the field. Like people who never knew the brand learn the brand because we inserted ourselves into their journey by answering the most asked question about furniture paint. So just like Jamar, right? We looked at what are people asking, how they want to know how to use it. They want to know how to get the most out of it. And I think that really understanding your audience at that deeper level to also just remember that like so there's this brand I always talked about that went viral on TikTok, and she had little or nobody knew who she was. Then she sold soap, like eco-friendly soap. So instead of using like dish soap that's liquid, she had like a bar of soap. And one of the biggest questions when people move from from liquid soap to a bar of soap is, well, how do you get the suds and will it really wash my dishes? Like we have this idea that our thing has to be full of suds for our dishes to get clean. So she did a demo. Honestly, that demo was mesmerizing. So she showed us how she lathers the thing. She's literally at a sink. She's not wearing anything fancy. She shot it with her iPhone. Millions of views. She basically went from nobody knew who she was to she had to get a warehouse. She had to hire staff. She had to figure out how to get more of the products to make her thing, because she showed us how to lather the soap, how good it washed the dishes. She literally it was pretty feature based, but she showed us like how amazing it was and how it worked. That was it. And it was like 2 minutes long.
Oh my gosh. And it's so amazing. Like when you try to answer one question someone has, you're actually answering so many other ones. You're showing so many other features and benefits that you're not even thinking about.
Well, and when you answer it as the owner of, or somebody who's the like behind the brand, I think it also like it brings us in that we feel really special. Actually, here's another great example. In the summer, I saw a video, and it was actually a video created from a negative comment. Like, those bars are so expensive. Who would pay that much for a snack bar? The owner of the company, who didn't always show her face, did a video and said, "This is a really legit like, comment, but let me tell you why." And she went on to talk about how she's Canadian, that Canadian strawberries only grow for 4 weeks, and that to source organic strawberries in Ontario for her snack bar company, it's expensive, and she has such a limited run. Honestly, by the end of the video, I was like, damn, where do I buy those bars? Because she showed me the quality of her ingredients. She said that she wanted to pay a fair price to the organic farmers growing those berries. And I was like, yeah, I'm behind that. Let's compensate people who are doing something special. And then she showed us like how she sources the ingredients and how, unfortunately, it does increase the price of the bar. And she's offered an alternative. If you're on more of a budget, this bar is more expensive but really high quality, and this is why. And then this is why my strawberry bars are limited edition and very expensive. And it was beautiful because she took something that could be deemed as criticism and turned it into, I'm the face of the brand, let me bring you inside my factory and tell you exactly why my bar is 3 times more than my other bars. And by the end I was like, yeah, amazing, right? Like, it was so beautiful and such a way to like differentiate a feature. And so I think when we think about these things, we can say like, well, I'm a product-based business. I don't know, other than showing you the thing, I don't know what to do. But then you have a content problem. Jamar said it earlier. It will be a struggle for any business to be successful on YouTube or Pinterest if you have a difficult time thinking about how to convey the value and the differentiators you have for your business. Like, if your content is bad, your content is bad. And it doesn't really matter if you're on YouTube or you're on Pinterest. So you have to figure that out. Like, Pinterest can help you grow your YouTube channel, but if those videos are underwhelming, or they have low watch times, or nobody can find them, or they just don't really do it, that's why sometimes you got to keep refining. We're always improving our content, right? And that's like what you get really good at. Good content is good content.
Ooh, yes. That's why you have to keep on looking at your analytics, people. Like, I am such an analytics person. You have got to look at it so that you can kind of understand the story more. So.
Yeah, right. And obviously, like, there's always that piece, like I was saying to someone the other day, like, there's always like a bit of like, especially creatives, there's like an intuition. And I think sometimes we have resistance where it's like, well, I'm a creative person. People should just, I would even say, when I moved from being a Pinterest manager and a Pinterest consultant to offering products and like, working with people as an educator, I was like, people should just know that, like, I know a lot. I'm really good at this. And like, I can help anybody with Pinterest, but like, that's just not how we are, right? Like, and you need to be responsible for how people will discover you, right? So how will people discover you? How will people fall in love with you? And I think that that's when you start paying attention. Like, ask yourself right now, as you're watching this, why did you fall in love with Jamar? Like, what is it about Jamar that why you trust him? I'll tell you why I trust Jamar. Jamar ran a business that was modeled like mine was, is that he's worked with so many different accounts. He's worked with accounts that are difficult to grow, where there was a content problem. He understands overall content ecosystems. And so right away, the way that he speaks and communicated on Threads, I was like, this guy's different. He knows something different. This isn't just about like, he's not just going to tell me a little tactic, a little use the color orange on your thumbnail and you'll go viral. No. He's going to tell you that your content sucks and you need to work on your content structure. And this is how you do it. And then you will attract the right people, like a deeper level of marketing, right? We're kind of over this surface level stuff. And I know that that's what I thought, right? Like right away, there was a trust level there where I was like, something's different, right? This is not just like these little like flash in the pan tactics. Anyways.
That's so funny because that's the same reason that I have for you, because you
Mm.
know that I've taken other Pinterest things before, and it just never made sense to me. But then when you talk about it, there's so much more depth to it because you're expert that's working in it every day.
Well, yeah, I think that too. Well, yeah, like, and also it's just like sometimes when people, you know, have similar experiences, it's like you say things in a different way. And I want to say, like, you know, there are different Pinterest people and they have different, you know, things that they're great at. And I never want to tear them down, but it's also like, you know, different strokes for different folks. I think also what's a gift is also a little bit of a curse, that sometimes people are like, I just want Meagan to tell me what to do on Pinterest. I don't want to know all these other things. I don't want to hear that I have to work on my content. But a good marketer will always tell you, like, they'll always ask you for more information. They'll tell you it depends. They will want to know more to give you sustainable, wonderful marketing advice, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, we could gab all day. I should probably go. The dogs are starting to rustle around here that they want their walk. But I just want to say thank you, Jamar. I really, really appreciate, you know, going live is always fun. And, you know, I think that YouTube and Pinterest have such a great opportunity for people. And I'm going to call it now. I really do think we had at one point an opportunity to claim our YouTube channels. Mine is actually still claimed on my Pinterest account. But they took it away from us, and I think they're going to roll it out again.
Really?
I do. So I've only told people that in my program, but I suspect that over the next little while, Pinterest is rolling out that we can claim our social media channels. They just added Instagram back in. Amazon storefront looks like it's on the horizon. I expect that YouTube will come back. They had to take it away for security reasons, but I do think they're trying to say to people, you're a YouTube creator, cool. You're going to claim your YouTube channel on Pinterest. You're an Instagram creator, cool. You can claim that. I think this is what I'm going to call it. It's just
I love that you mentioned that, and thank you so much for sharing that you only shared it with your program. Do you mind, before, how about we end things with you talking about your program and also how people can can learn more about you, can get more things? We have some freebies down there.
Yeah, so I have freebies. Sign up for my email list. That is like where you're going to get the best version. That's Meagan, the cream of the crop. That's where I share the goods. I run a challenge once every 2-3 times a year. So once every 4 months. That is the best way to get sort of access to me and my strategy. And honestly, I always suggest people, if they're new to Pinterest, get going with Pinterest before you invest in it, because I think that I'm not here to convince you that Pinterest is amazing. The people that know that it is amazing, they don't want you to know about it. They just want to keep it as their little like secret. What I will say is, so I never want to convince people like you have to be using Pinterest. You come to me once you're ready to take things to the next level and get strategic. I do have a course that opens a few times a year. It's called Pin Potential. But what I would say is just join my list, start getting free tips and implementing. I'm a human. I respond to a lot of questions. Obviously, if you want very specific advice, I do save all my best goodies for people who are in my programs, like most of us, right? I have a life to pay for as well. But I share lots of value on Threads. I'm on Instagram, but mostly just to see people's pets. And my email list is really where I am the most consistent, where you can find me. And my program's called Pin Potential. But like I said, just come find me when you're looking to get strategic.
All right, there you have it, y'all. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much, Meagan, for your time. And everyone else, I will see you in the next video, honey.
Sounds good. Bye, everyone.